Well, hello again, everybody. Welcome into another installment of the Boone Area Chamber of Commerce Chamber Report for Tuesday, September 1st. I'm David Jackson, President and CEO of the Boone Area Chamber. Thanks for joining us tonight, clicking on the link. And hey, we're coming to you back-to-back nights. We haven't done that very much here of late, but we've got big news out of Raleigh that we wanted to make sure that we shared with you and some local impact to that news. Earlier this afternoon, Governor Roy Cooper announcing the next step forward in North Carolina's planned easing of restrictions. We are moving into the Safer at Home Phase 2.5, effective Friday at 5 o'clock. So we wanted to take a few minutes here tonight to walk through that plan with you, make sure you understand all of the nuances to it, and then talk about some of the local impacts to that. So pardon my screen share here as we go to the slides here and talk about this a little bit. So Safer at Home Phase 2.5, it goes into effect Friday, September 4th at 5 o'clock. That's about a week earlier than we anticipated any change to what we are currently under in Phase 2. Remember, that guidance saw the current executive order with Phase 2 not expiring until September 11th. The state actually moved their calendar a little bit on this and changed this guidance about a week earlier than we've seen them doing. And there's a reason for that we will explain in just a few moments. But again, Safer at Home Phase 2.5 takes place Friday, September 4th at 5 o'clock. Everything that I'm about to talk about, keep in mind that all of the social distancing guidelines are still very much the same. So nothing has changed with the face covering ordinance. Nothing has changed with any of our local guidelines put in place by some of our municipalities like the town of Boone, where they've got the additional language in their state of emergency about social distancing on sidewalks or the space issues that they've got, making sure that you've got proper 6 feet worth of passage. If there's, let's say, a restaurant with tables outside, they've got to have 6 feet of passage for people coming by. So all of those guidelines still in place. None of that impacted by the changes to Phase 2.5. But here is what will change. And a big part of this is limits on mass gatherings. They're going up now. Right now, we're operating with a maximum of 10 people indoors, 25 people outdoors. Those increases will bump up to 25 people max indoors, 50% people max outdoors. And for event planners that have been trying to kind of cobble together some smaller meetings with social distancing applied, this will certainly be welcome news to you. You'll be able to get a few more people at these events as long as, again, those social distancing measures are followed. Playgrounds will be able to open and operate under Phase 2.5. We've seen the yellow tape around those facilities for several months now. So now the young folks in our community can have somewhere to go and play. Now, museums and aquariums can open at 50% capacity under Phase 2.5. This is something that is, again, subject to individual operator desires and abilities right now. So what I'd say is before you go to any museums on Friday or Saturday, make sure you call them first and make sure of their operational plans. Remember, we're talking about just really a couple of days before these things are implemented. So hiring, staffing, training, some of those things that may have been put off by facilities that are opening for the first time, similar to what we saw with the restaurant rollout back a few months ago. It took those folks a little while to get hired, get trained, get open to the point where they could have that in-person dining. I would expect some of these same businesses that have been closed since March to have a similar ramp up. So just be patient, check with them, check their websites, call us at the chamber. We'll let you know what we know about business operations. You can certainly find that on some of our resources at boonechamber.com. But museums in the area most impacted by this, the Church and Center, Brahm. So just check with them first to see exactly how they're planning on operating, and that way you don't have any miscommunication there. Gyms and other indoor exercise facilities can open at 30% capacity. Couple of talking points around this one. First of all, what are indoor exercise facilities? Great question. Glad you asked. These are places like our yoga studios, who have been among the most creative in trying to get their yoga programs out to customers. Now they can actually bring people inside their facility again. So I know they're very happy about that. Also included in indoor exercise facilities, bowling alleys, skating rinks, anything with an indoor exercise component, the spin studios that we see here in the area. All of those available to open at a 30% capacity. Now, you may noticed that there have been some gyms that have been open, and they have been working under a letter that was penned by the state attorney general that basically allows for a gym currently under phase 2 to serve clients who have a medical reason for needing to work out. And mostly that's related to rehab, especially cardiac rehab, orthopedic surgery rehab. Maybe it's a strict weight loss program that requires an exercise component. These gyms currently can serve those people as long as there is medical documentation as to why they need to be there. And that's actual documents. I mean, you have to have like a doctor's note and more than that at some places. So as we move into phase 2.5, that letter will no longer really apply. You won't need that general clearance to get into a facility because gyms will be able to be open to the general public, anybody that they would like to serve, be that in their membership or the general public. But the 30% capacity is where you just need to make sure you're clear. It's not 30% capacity for the general public and then everybody with this letter. It's 30% capacity. So some facilities may see, a balancing act there because they have been serving clients, but they'll be serving more and just need to kind of work through that process. So it's important for you to understand how your gym is kind of monitoring that, how they're communicating when they do have availability for people to work out, and just follow those guidelines. Some of them have that digitized. Some of them, it's an easy phone call, but everybody's trying to share that information appropriately. Some other things about phase 2.5, the age requirement for mask wearing will include children down to age 5. So keep in mind that. And also capacity limits at restaurants and personal care businesses like hair and nail salons, they will stay the same. They're still at that 50% capacity restriction. So know that those guidelines remain here in phase 2.5. Some of the places that will remain closed includes bars and nightclubs. We really don't see a lot of impact on that here because most of the bars here have a restaurant component to them. So they've been able to be open during this process. But around the state, bars and nightclubs will remain closed. Movie theaters, indoor entertainment, again, that's different than indoor exercise venues, and amusement parks will remain closed. Another big talking point here, large venues will be subject to the mass gathering limits. And the state saying here, we know that big gatherings are among the most dangerous settings for transmission. We've already seen some impact from this decision or these guidelines as part of the decision-making process. Today, Appalachian State Athletics announcing that there will be no fans in the stands for fall sports through the month of September. That means football, volleyball, women's soccer, field hockey, cross country. No spectators will be able to be around at those venues and watching those games. And that's consistent with what we've seen throughout the state over the last couple of days. Wake Forest, UNC, NC State, even the Carolina Panthers announcing no fans in the stands for at least part or in some cases all of September, and Appalachian State Athletics following suit with that today. So obviously, as we look at this global health concern that continues to drive a lot of the conversation that we have here and driving a lot of the action here, we can't forget about the economic ramifications for some of these decisions. And this is a big one because, again, we've got a limited number of events that will be here in the fall. And we know what fall football Saturdays look like on a normal year. This was going to be an abnormal year. Can't be too much of a shock to you that this measure is going into effect. But what it will do is effectively see football traffic look a lot different and really in some cases be non-existent in September. So it's important for us as a community to be able to plan for that. It's important for us as a local community to help respond to that. This is one of those opportunities where the power of your local purchase decision is incredibly important to those businesses that rely on that volume. They rely on those fall visitors, and they're going to be void, a lot of those folks. And it's not just football. It's things like Woolly Worm and Valley Country Fair that we already know are going to be impacted or not going to exist in their normal form. So how can we as locals help energize these businesses that see September, October, the Christmas tree choosing cut season be their hibernation money, right? They're able to have that one more big shot before the end of the year, and that's where they kind of ride out January, February, March before the volume of people return that aren't necessarily tied directly to ski season. So we as locals, again, can patronize our favorite businesses. Thanks to all of you that participated in our Tuesday restaurant takeover tonight. We had some great submissions. We've been sharing pictures all day long. It's helped put some eyeballs on restaurants and remind folks that our restaurants are open for in-person dining. They've still got curbside and takeout options. Our family was able to take out from a place tonight, and very similar to Takeout Tuesday, but a little bit more inclusive. And it's helping also introduce this concept to some people in our community that may not have been with us back in the spring. And now they see as an opportunity, hey, on Tuesday nights, we're going to go find a restaurant to support. You can do the same with other local businesses too, because they're going to need that extra support here as we maintain our operations through what will be a less busy fall than we are normally used to seeing. A couple of other points here real quick. The 11 o'clock curfew on alcohol sales at restaurants has been extended to October 2nd. Keep that date in mind, because as I switch over to the Phase 2.5 frequently asked questions, you'll see when does this order take effect? That is September 4th at 5 o'clock. It's effective until October 2nd, 2020 at 5 p.m. So that Phase 2 guidance or Phase 2.5 guidance coming in line with what we reported to you yesterday about the curfew on alcohol sales, which has been extended to October 2nd. So those are the high points of Phase 2.5. A couple of other quick things to share with you. As we are moving out of Phase 2, one other element of our community will be impacted by this, and that is Watauga County hotels and short-term rentals. Since the start of Phase 2, they've been operating at a 50% capacity in those facilities. And that language in the Watauga County state of emergency said that that would be the case until the end of Phase 2. Well, we're about to end Phase 2 on Friday at 5 o'clock and moving into 2.5. So that restriction will go away. We do expect some information from Watauga County coming out later this week about how their state of emergency will be altered with that change coming into place. But just know that those facilities will no longer have that 50% capacity restriction on them. With that said, I'll go back to what I said about giving people time to ramp up. A lot of these facilities are either working with limited staff and they'll have to hire and train to be able to get to the point where they can operate at 100% capacity. Many of the hotels still have chain restrictions on them. The flag that they fly for their particular chain of choice may still have a capacity restriction on properties throughout their footprint. So even if a hotel was able to open at 100%, doesn't necessarily mean that their corporate structure or maybe their ownership group will allow them to do so. So this is another one of those opportunities where it's best to check with the individual property. If you're watching this video and you're thinking about coming up here and you want to stay at your favorite place, make sure your favorite place has room for you, number one. And number two, just understand that people are making operational changes here over the next few days. So packing patience remains a very important point, and just being understanding is continue to be a very important point as we work through all of this. So just keep those couple of things in mind. As always, we're here at the Chamber to help you. We want to make sure that you understand all these nuances to Phase 2.5. We understand while some of you are opening your doors for the first time in a while, that too will bring some new challenges for you. Hiring remains a thing that that businesses are trying to do. We'll be representing the Boone area businesses tomorrow at a part-time job fair that's being held virtually through Appalachian State, just letting students know, hey, there are part-time jobs that are available out there, and hopefully we'll have some people that will be able to fill those. But as you see those challenges, as you see questions that need to be answered, please reach out to us and let us know. We'd be happy to help you in any way that we can. That ought to do it for us tonight. Hey, thanks for checking out the video. We now allow you to resume your Monday evening already in progress. Thanks a lot for your support of the Boone Area Chamber of Commerce. Take care. We'll talk to you again soon.